Hi everyone, welcome back to Said With Love YouTube channel and welcome back to the Barn Star Sampler month 5 tips and tricks. So month 5, the block is called Northern Star and it looks like this. That's the one that Shelley has done in her book, and I have done some fabric choices. I must say, for such a simple block, I really looked and changed my fabrics about 15 times. So I try not to do that very often. I try to sort of pick one, and I'm allowed to swap one fabric once, or each fabric once, and then I stop, and otherwise I'd be there forever. But this time I really struggled. But anyway, let's get on. And oh, these are my block 4s. I've got them. Oh, more threads. They just never stop. I've got my boho heart quilt up at the moment, hanging here in the studio, so hopefully you can see the blocks on there. But I'm loving my block 4s, the purples and pinks, and I did a couple of the little pinwheel blocks, the block 18s. So they're up there for a bit of inspiration for us. And let's move on to block 5, month 5. I've done my fabric choices, so I'll show you those on the overhead camera. Okay, so here's my block 5, and I've made some choices. I've gone very different colors, obviously, than what Shelley has done. And so here are my block 5 choices. So Northern Star, my first block. I'm doing each of my blocks differently in different fabrics. So I've chosen these. So my raccoon print, I so love this print. I love it in the purple, and I love it in this sort of little acry teal with the spots of bright pink all over his back. We don't have raccoons here in Australia, so I can think they're cute. Probably a bit like our possums, which everybody finds such a nuisance. Okay, so that's going to be this print in the middle here, and obviously with the little spots of pinks and oranges and stuff, it's just going to be a little bit of nice color. And then for the star points, so these darker points in Shelley's block, I'm going to use this True Colors print, which has sort of this lovely purple and this sort of reddy dark coral. And then for the outside points of the star, I'm going to use this bird print, and I'm going to try and cut it a little bit, not fussy cut, but fussy directions, because obviously these star points go in different directions. I'm going to try and keep the birds upright. We'll see how I go. And for these last little squares, I'm going to use the purple suited and booted, just to give a real pop of that purple color. So there are my fabric choices for my first block, and here are my fabric choices for my second block, block B. And so here is the really pale pink geo print with just little tiny dots of all the color. I'm going to use that as that middle fabric. I'm actually going to use this same True Colors fabric for my star points, because I needed a real non-directional, doesn't matter how it gets cut up and sort of things for those pieces. And it goes well, obviously, with these colors. I'm going to use my squirrel chipmunky print as these outer points of the stars, and I'm going to try and fussy cut this ship a little bit for my little squares. So that's block 2 of block B of my fifth month. So I've gone ahead and cut my first block all out. We see that on screen. There we go. I might have to scoot things up a little bit. Now, the one change that I did to the cutting instructions, so the one change that I did to the cutting instructions is that there is some flying geese in this block. So I have cut my G piece as the large piece for my 4 at a time flying geese, and I cut some of the E squares to that corresponding size. In the caption below, I'll give you a link to my cheat sheet of sizes to do 4 at a time flying geese. And so then I've cut the rest of my E blocks out, the correct size as per the pattern, my F, my C and my B. And as you can see, I tried to do that sort of fussy direction for each of the birds. So we'll see how that goes when I start making the block. The block itself, pretty simple, well, you know, compared to the ones that we started off with in this sewing so long, it's fairly simple. I'm still going to keep my background the same grey as I've been doing all the way along. I haven't picked my block yet to do some different colour backgrounds, but I want to try that very soon. So everybody's blocks that have done that look fantastic. So okay, so I better go and do some sewing and I'll come back to you with some tips and tricks. Okay, so I've started doing my piecing, and for the side units, we need to do a square and a square, and I've decided to do them the same way as the pattern tells you, which is flip and stitch corners. But trying to find some quick ways to make things go a bit quicker, you can do in your stitch and flip corners opposite corners and stitch them at the same time. Now, we talked last month about being very careful about getting your line going from corner to corner and stitching correct right on it. But cutting your fabric out, this square out, is also really important to get accurate, to get a good result. And I then line up those corners and then the sides so that we can get a perfect sew from corner to corner, and then when it flips over, you're going to get those points matching. So this one, I haven't trimmed this yet, the fabric's all still there, but when you then press it open, this side of the fabric should be exactly where your base fabric is, to get the right size flip and stitch. So just need to go and press all of those, and it looks like this. Nicely done. I'm not too bad. I'm working on my accuracy to try and get those points correct. And then of course you can go and you can do the other two corners as well, the other two opposite corners, so that you get your too dark and the too light on the side of your square and a square. And I'm also trying, and I'll see whether I've got this correct, to fussy sew these so that my raccoons are all going to be facing the right way up. Not sure I'll have succeeded with that, but I'm going to try. And the other thing is I've been working on my 4 at a time flying geese. So that's the first half of my flying geese. It's going to make another 2. So I need to put another square here, and then it creates 2 flying geese out of that. And as you can see, it's oversized and got all its little dog ears and things. I then use my block lock ruler to trim to the perfect size. So then I'll have my 4 flying geese to go with my 4 side units as well. So I'm going to go and do that. So here is my finished square and a square and my finished flying geese. And so the side unit is these 2 put together, which then creates this lovely additional triangle. So here's one that I have pressed and sewn together. Now the book instructions say to press to your square and a square, but it does create quite a bit of bulk, but it does then, when we start putting it together with our corner units, nest really well. So it's a toss-up. However, I am going to press mine open just because 2 points like that coming together does create quite a bit of bulk, and I will just have to pin really well when I'm sewing my side units together. So as I said, I was going to try and get all my raccoons up the right way, and I think I've done it. So that one's going to be at the top, that one's going to be at the side, that's going to be at that side. and whoops, that way he's going to be there. So we see all of those. So, and I've got a full piece in the middle that will sit in nicely and be up the correct way as well. So I think I've managed my directional fabrics pretty well this time, and I didn't get sidetracked by something else. So I just need to go and finish sewing all my pieces together and pressing open, and then I can have got my side units done. So the next thing I'm trying to do with directional fabric are these birds. So I've gone and cut some birds horizontally, some birds vertically, and then looked at where the positioning of them is in the block. So I think I've got this correct, so that all my birds, when I'm looking at the block from this direction, are all going to be in the correct way. My not that this is necessarily directional, because you can look at it top and bottom, but it's not four-way directional, this. So I don't know, I'm still tossing that, but I think that will still look fine. So I need to go and sew my corner units together now. Okay, so I have finished all my corner blocks and they have turned out really well, and the little flip and stitch corners, I've still got some birds showing, and I managed to do the directional print as well, so that my birds are sort of, whoops, which way? I might have got them up the wrong way now. That way, there we go. So my birds are all looking in the right direction, and so I was really happy with that. A nice, fairly simple block, and I don't think I've made any mistakes this time. Yay! So that's the corner block. This is the side block, and we have our little center block. That was a nice fun one to make. Okay, so that's the tips and tricks for month 5, for block 5, the Northern Star. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have fun picking some fabrics, maybe trying some directional fabrics if you want to have a bit of extra fun. I must say I do still love my little raccoon fabrics. I can't wait to show you my 2 blocks in the reveal at the end of the month. And feel free to join our Sew Along Facebook group. We just ask 3 little membership questions just to make sure that you're a human and not going to spam us and all the rest of it. And then you too can share your progress in our Facebook group. There's lots of wonderful, wonderful people doing some amazing things with their colours and their fabrics. So come along and join us, and I'll talk to you soon.